everyone. We are here in Brands Hatch. It is race day 2. The sun is shining. It's pretty windy, and we all know the weather here is unpredictable, but we've got full house. The atmosphere is absolutely amazing. And yeah, we're looking forward to a very exciting race 2. Fact is, yesterday was very, very thrilling. Let's see what today brings. And one man who was actually just driving along the circuit, having a bit of fun, was David Coulthard, the former Formula 1 and DTM driver. And I had the feeling that especially the donuts, he was enjoying quite a bit. Of course, everybody loves this circuit, especially since last year we are driving the Grand Prix circuit, and let's see what today brings. Of course, I'm going to grab some of the drivers in just a bit, but now here is your commentator.
Thank you, Verena. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Brands Hatch. And as Verena has indicated, it's a full house. Lots of people here to enjoy the DTM race action to come. And they've enjoyed a fantastic Red Bull F1 demonstration with David Coulthard at the wheel of that car, entertaining the massive crowds here at Brands Hatch. Welcome to DTM. It's race day 2. Of course, race 1 was held yesterday. And, well, the weather conditions at the moment, it's certainly sunny. It's quite breezy, but at the moment the high clouds are keeping away. And Bruno Spengler there in preparation ahead of this race. He didn't qualify quite where he would like to be. P16 for Bruno Spengler. That's his starting position for the BMW Bank driver, Bruno Spengler. Qualifying was not quite as dramatic today as it was yesterday. And the drivers earlier on setting their lap times to give them our grid for this afternoon's race. 55 minutes plus 1 lap. That's what we can look forward to here at the 3.9 kilometre Brands Hatch circuit. And Jonathan Aberdeen is one of the drivers that Verena is speaking to.
So Audi is extremely dominant here in Brands Hatch today, and from 1 to 8 we've got Audis, and in P8 is Jonathan Aberdeen. So what do you think today? What's your feeling for the race? I mean, obviously it's fantastic having all the Audis in the front. You being the last in the row of Audi, what do you think? What can you expect? Where can you go?
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible result for Audi. It's just a kind of testament for the hard work that they've been doing so far this year. Great team result. I think expectations for the race, the last car, so kind of keeping the rest of the field behind, kind of. But yeah, let's see how it plays out. You never know what will happen with the start. Yeah, just take it easy and see how it goes.
All right, you do that. Thank you very much, Jonathan. Back to you.
So Jonathan Aberdeen finishing in the points yesterday, having started from the pit lane. It was a very good achievement for Jonathan Aberdeen. Jake Dennis, unfortunately, didn't make it many metres on the tarmac yesterday. Through absolutely no fault of his own, he was clattered into the wall and ended up his race over before he'd completed, well, even a tenth of a lap, unfortunately. He'll be hoping for better things today, although he's starting on the final row. He's going from P17, just behind this man, Bruno Spengler, who starts from P16. So the BMW Bank M4 DTM driver, former DTM champion, of course, and indeed race winner this year, having taken a race win at the street circuit at Norrisring earlier on this season. So what can Bruno Spengler do from there? Well, it's going to be a very interesting strategic race today because track temperature is much higher than it was yesterday. Therefore, tyre degradation is perhaps going to be something of a factor. So that will be interesting to see how that pans out. This is Paul de Resta, and one of his teammates from Aston Martin R Motorsport is Danny Juncadella.
So in P10 we've got Danny Juncadella for Aston Martin, and it's going to be a tough race, obviously. Who knows what's going to happen? We were just talking about the weather. That's unpredictable, that's for sure. You've also got a wall of Audi in front of you and one BMW. But hey, I just saw you getting a kiss from your girlfriend, so maybe that's good luck. What's your feeling?
Yeah, I think luck is always needed, so that's why we always need to push for that extra luck if we can. And I'm happy where we're standing. I mean, I have only one BMW in front in a normal qualifying, and then it's the whole block of Audis, like you said. You know, we have nothing to lose. They have more to lose because they have 8 cars in the top 8, and that's going to be hard to manage, I think, from the management side. And yeah, we're going to try to fish in that river and see what we can get. I know we have a strong pace in the race, so that's going to play in our hands.
Good luck fishing in the river. Best of luck and enjoy. Thank you so much, Danny, and now to you.
Danny Juncadella going fishing this afternoon for a good result. Well, in qualifying, he certainly did the best of all the R Motorsport drivers, and he's qualified that car P10. Of course, Danny Juncadella was a race winner here at Brands Hatch last year, taking his maiden DTM win. Winner yesterday was Marco Wittmann. Weather conditions played into the hands of BMW, and as Verena has indicated, the wall of Audis right at the front of the grid means that the BMWs are pushed further back than they would like to be, and Marco Wittmann, P12, has work to do from Marco Wittmann. One place ahead of him is Timo Glock, and he is with Verena.
Here in P11 is Timo Glock. Timo, let's talk about the racetrack. It's extremely challenging, and as you can tell here, I mean, there's a huge slant here. And yesterday in the start, you had a little tete-a-tete with another driver. So is it especially the start that's challenging, or what else?
Yeah, the problem is that it's going to be downhill, so the car, you need to make sure that the car is not moving. So you need to somehow manage 3 pedals in one go with 2 feet, so that's going to be the challenge. Unfortunately, Danny Juncker-Deyer is next to me again. He was the guy who pushed me yesterday into Jake Dennis, but I think we should be fine today. And we just need to make sure that we get a good start and have a bit of work to do to get up to the front.
So it's really a tricky, challenging racetrack.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not easy. A lot of up and downs. The wind makes a big difference. That's changing the balance of the car all the time. So it's going to be a bit of a challenge today.
All right, we're crossing our fingers. Thank you so much, Timo. Best of luck for the race. To the commentator.
Always great value, Timo Glock, and don't discount him going from P11 on the grid. A real racer, as is this man. Philipp Eng, you can see here. Philipp Eng is going from P9 on the grid, the BMW driver, who's taken on some liquid before the start of the race, and engineer makes sure he's well sorted. So Philipp Eng making his way to his BMW. Jonathan Aberdeen just in the background of the picture, the boss of WRT team. That was Vincent Voss. That is Vincent Voss, I should say. Thierry Tassin is team manager, Vincent Voss team principal, and that is Jonathan Aberdeen, one of their 2 drivers. Pietro Fittipaldi, of course, was not in the race yesterday. Sadly, he crashed in qualifying, as did Jonathan Aberdeen, to be fair, but the impact on Jonathan Aberdeen's car was less than on this man, Pietro Fittipaldi. Now, basically, the WRT team worked until the early hours of this morning to get the Pietro Fittipaldi car repaired, and he is out on track, and he rewarded the WRT team with a P7 in qualifying. A 1:16 time puts Pietro Fittipaldi P7, so very, very good job from him. Jonathan Aberdeen alongside him, going from P8, so the WRT team doing a very good job, the independent Audi team that have joined us in DTM this year, and very welcome they are too. Nico Müller, going from P6 on the grid. He, of course, was on the podium yesterday. Nico Müller banking more points for a P3 to add to his double podium in Assen before arriving here in the UK, where he took a P2 and a P3. And there you can see Mike Rockenfeller. A 1:15.959 means that Mike Rockenfeller goes from P5 on the grid. Rocky, having taken a win at Assen, also a P2 and a P3 during the course of the season, will be hoping for good things from P5 on the grid. British superstar Jamie Green is on the 2nd row of the grid. He is going from P4. So very good qualifying for Jamie Green, who of course will like to impress the legions of fans that are here to support Jamie Green this weekend and reward them with a good finish in the race. Jamie yesterday finished just out of the points, P11. Robin Freins was quick in qualifying. It was a P3 for Robin Freins, so he picks up a point for that P3 place in qualifying. Robin Freins finishing just off the podium yesterday, P4. He'll be hoping to go better than that today, and has given himself a good position to start from. He goes from P3. Then we find Loic Duval, who was lightning quick in qualifying. A 1:15.432, as you can see from the graphics, gave Loic Duval that P2 start. Finished the race P5 yesterday. He has had 1 podium this year, and that was at Misano. And our Drivers' Championship leader, René Rast, just when he needed to, he put in that 1:15.134 time, which was a full 3/10 quicker than Loic Duval, and has given himself pole position. So Paul di Resta then much further down the order, but René Rast goes from P1 on the grid, a 1:15.1 for René Rast. I mentioned mentioned Paul di Resta, he will be going from P15 on the grid. Welcome to Brands Hatch. 11 DTM races here since 2006. And the winners in 2018, Danny Juncadella and the man I just mentioned, Paul di Resta. It's a real old school circuit and surrounded by a beautiful English countryside here in Kent. You're very welcome to join us, and as you can see, the place looks resplendent, it really does, and we're using the full GP circuit and not the Indy circuit, so 3.9 kilometers, 9 turns, 6 of them right. 3 of them are left-handers, and it's a real challenge. And another challenge that's thrown into the mix is the high cloud above, although all the radar predictions suggest that the race is going to be dry. The track temperatures, and I was talking to Hankook, the tyre supplier for DTM, just before the Thomas Biermeier there from Audi Sportsline. I was talking to Hankook about tyre degradation today, and the tyre that's going to suffer the most with the higher track temperatures is going to be the front left. And a 2-stop strategy is not out of the question. Stefan Moser there in conversation with Arno Zenzen, sharing a laugh or two, and there he is, head of Audi Motorsport, Dieter Gas, wishing all his drivers well for the start of the race. Of course, they've done a brilliant job in qualifying. All the way from P1 to P8 contain Audi cars. Here comes the grid in full for you then to explain that Audi dominance in qualifying. René Rast and Loic Duval start off that dominance on the front row of the grid, P1 and P2. Robin Freins and Jamie Green are on the second row, P3 and P4. We continue with Audi, with Mike Rockenfeller and Nico Müller going from P5 and P6. And then we see the 2 WRT drivers, Pietro Fittipaldi and Jonathan Aberdeen, locking out the Audi Fest, going from P7 and P8 ahead of Philipp Eng and Danny Juncadella, the best of the BMWs and the best of the Aston Martins. Then it's Timo Glock and Marco Wittmann, yesterday's race winner Marco Wittmann, with a job to do from the 6th row of the grid, ahead of Sheldon van der Linde and Joel Eriksson, who of course did not take part in the race yesterday, gearbox problem. Then it's Paul di Resta and Bruno Spengler, P15 and P16, ahead of Jake Dennis and Ferdinand von Habsburg, who will be going from P17 and P18 for the race this afternoon, 55 minutes plus 1 lap. So there you can see the 3.9 kilometer circuit here. Weather conditions, air temperature, it is 28 degrees. It feels a lot warmer than that in this studio, I can tell you. Track temperature higher than yesterday, 34.1 degrees. So as the track winds its way through the Kent countryside, it is very undulating, that's for sure. There's the man that's going from pole position, René Rast, leading the Drivers' Championship, adding yet another 3 points to his tally through putting it on pole position in qualifying today. He has amassed almost a race win equivalent number of points just from his qualifying performances this year. An extraordinary tally of points for René Rast. That's why he is leading the Drivers' Championship, but he is being chased by Nico Müller and also Marco Wittmann. Nico Müller is P6 on the grid, Marco Wittmann P12 on the grid, but of course, an awful lot can happen in the DTM, and especially here at Brands Hatch. That's quite likely as well. We are about a minute and 15 seconds away from the formation lap getting underway, as everyone settles themselves down to a good vantage point to enjoy the DTM race to come this afternoon. Jamie Green then, British star, going from P4. Very good qualifying from Jamie Green. He will be hoping for, well, as a bare minimum, a podium, I would think, from that starting position. All the pressure, of course, is on René Rast, but he just soaks it up and deals with it so well. Going from pole position, he was 0.3 quicker than the next fastest driver. There you can see Stefan Reinhold from BMW team RMG in the middle of that picture. And it walks away now into the garage of Bruno Spengler. Spengler starting from P16 on the grid. Dieter Gas in the center of your picture there, the head of Audi Motorsport. And now it's just 30 seconds until the start of the formation lap for DTM Race 2 here at Brands Hatch this weekend in the sunshine. And the crowd really have flocked to Brands Hatch to enjoy the DTM race action. And 5 seconds now before the light turns green and the cars are released on their formation lap now. Sure enough, right on cue, René Rast gives it a footfall, so too does Loic Duval, and Robin Freins with a real power slide as he tries to generate some temperature into those Hankook tyres as they are all released from their grid boxes now for their formation lap around this 3.9 kilometre circuit. DTM roars into life here in the Kent countryside. Here's René Rast making his way through Druids now, and then it's the downhill drop towards Graham Hill Bend, which over the years, of course, has been re-profiled. Then it is a short blast on the throttle of Cooper Straight. René Rast, Loic Duval on the front row, ahead of Robin Freins and Jamie Green going from P3 and P4. To row 3 of the grid, we find Mike Rockenfeller and Nico Muller, P5 and P6. Then, on row 4, it's Pietro Fittipaldi and Jonathan Aberdeen, P7 and P8. Row 5 sees Philip Eng and Danny Juncadella, the best of the BMWs and the best of the Aston Martins. Ahead of Timo Glock and Marco Wittmann, yesterday's race winner. Sheldon van der Linde and Joel Eriksson go from P13 and P14. Then we find Paul de Resta and Bruno Spengler, P15 and P16. Then it's Jake Dennis and Ferdinand Habsburg going on row 9 of the grid, P17 and P18. So the cars weaving from side to side, and there you can see the number 23 car of Danny Juncadella, the best of the R Motorsport Aston Martin cars, as he tries to generate temperature into those tyres on this formation lap. This is the sight of the cars as they join what once was the Clearways Oval. And that's where the Indy circuit joins the full GP circuit. Dr. Florian Kamelger, the team principal of R Motorsport, then in the back of the Aston Martin garage. As always, looking pensive and anxious ahead of the start of the race. Paul de Resta going from P15 on the grid, weaving from side to side under the bridge, and already René Rast is almost in his grid box. Needs to be millimetrically perfect. Let's see if we can hear from his race engineer as they guide him into his pit box.
3, 2, 1. Stop.
So there he is, in his grid box, guided into it by his race engineer, as the rest of the cars come on to their positions on the grid. Stefan Reinhold there, and both Arno Zenzen and Ernst Moser in the Audi garages as we get the green flag from the marshal at the rear. Stand by, we throw the lights to the top of the screen. This is DTM Race 2 at Brands Hatch for 2019. When 5 lights go out, we will be racing. Let's go racing then. Here we go, DTM Race 2. Good start from Jamie Green, looked like it. But a brilliant start from Loic Duval, who's mugged René Rast right at the start. Robin Freins is pressuring Jamie Green, but Jamie Green has gone through to take P3. So Loic Duval ahead of René Rast. So to Druids, for the first time of asking, it becomes very busy indeed. So Loic Duval just got better traction. Robin Freins on the inside of Jamie Green now. So the Audi's jostling at the front of the pack. Philip Eng trying to pierce through as well in the BMW. But Loic Duval leads them away as for the first time of asking, they make their way onto the GP loop of this circuit. Side by side for Sheldon van der Linde and Timo Glock, and René Rast gets past Loic Duval. So as they head into the Derek Milner Straight, René Rast has put his car ahead of Loic Duval, who is now P2. Robin Freins is P3. Nico Muller is up to P4 already. He's ahead of Jamie Green and Mike Rockenfeller. Big lock up there from Joel Eriksson. And that's played into the hands of that Aston Martin, which has gone through on Joel Eriksson. It looks like he's had a torrid weekend, and he's dropping down the order is Joel Eriksson. It was Jake Dennis that was the first of the cars to get by. And Joel Eriksson dropping right to the back of the pack now. Clearly, whatever issues they've had with the Joel Eriksson car, they are not cleared up. What a great shame. So Rast from Duval, from Muller now to P3. Marco Wittmann on the outside of Jonathan Aberdeen. And Loic Duval doing a good job of queuing them all up, which is really playing into the hands of René Rast, who's extended his margin at the front to 1.2 seconds. So there is Loic Duval, but Nico Muller now gets past with the DRS assist on Loic Duval, and he will go chasing René Rast. Jamie Green is under investigation, as you can see on screen, for an inaccurate grid position. Now, that can be something as innocuous as a centimetre out of the grid box, and that's enough to pick up on the sensors, and a potential penalty for Jamie Green if they decide that his grid position was indeed inaccurate. What a great shot that is as they go underneath the bridge. So the order: Rast, Muller, Duval, as they head towards the timing line now. Robin Freins is P4, Jamie Green P5, Mike Rockefeller is P6. Mike Rockefeller coming under pressure from Philipp Eng now. The best of the BMW drivers, Philipp Eng, who's really beginning to pressure Mike Rockefeller now. That queue of Audis ahead. And Marco Wittmann already behind Philipp Eng. So Marco Wittmann, having done a very good job from the start of the race, he finds himself in P8 now. And of course, he's the one doing the chasing in the championship, like Nico Muller, both of them chasing the car and the driver, René Rast, who, of course, is leading the race with a margin of some 1.6 seconds up the road. In comes Joel Eriksson. I wonder if it was just
Joel, we stick to the strategy.
A slowly deflating tyre, potentially, for Joel Eriksson that was causing him a problem. But he dropped right down the order, and the team have rolled the dice and brought him in for an early pit stop strategy to see if that works. On board with Marco Wittmann then, who's tucked in behind Philipp Eng. They're running P7 and P8 at the moment. Jamie Green does get a pit stop penalty of 5 seconds for an inaccurate grid position, so his P5 place under threat, because when he comes into the pit lane for his mandatory stop, he will have to stay in the penalty box for 5 seconds before they can do his tyre change. So he picks up that 5-second pit stop penalty. Oh, just taking a look at the inside of the Mike Rockefeller car, there was Philipp Eng as they run round Druids now. So Philipp Eng frustrated behind the Audi of Mike Rockefeller, but cannot find a way through at the moment. And of course, champing at the bit too is Marco Wittmann. Fastest lap comes from Nico Muller as he tries to catch René Rast. The gap between Rast and Nico Muller for P1 and P2 is down to 1.5 seconds. So Nico Muller on something of a charge then. There's Loic Duval and Robin Freins and Jamie Green, and Mike Rockefeller being chased, of course, by Philipp Eng. Round out the top 10 for you. It's Rast, Muller, Duval, Freins, Green, Rockefeller, Eng, Wittmann, Aberdeen, and Danny Juncker-Deyer. The best of the Aston Martin R Motorsport cars. He's currently running in P10. So the phenomenal pace we saw from Audi in qualifying is being replicated in the race here. Last time around, Nico Muller had pulled a 10th out of the gap from René Rast. Let's see what he's done this time. It's down from 1.5 to 1.4. Let's get a replay of the start then. Difficult to tell from that angle that Jamie Green was in an inaccurate grid position. Fittipaldi having a mare of a start, as you can see. Wittmann, Timo Glock, all going through. On board with René Rast. Got a bit of wheel spin at the start. The back end went out. Loic Duval got better traction and was able to get René Rast right at the start of the race. And this was where René Rast got past Loic Duval to pick up the lead of the race. So tracked and tracked and tracked, and then pulled out and was able to get past the car of Loic Duval without too much trouble. So there is Philipp Eng, who just for the moment has eased off his attack on Mike Rockefeller. I suspect to cool everything down before he has another go, or will he try and undercut Mike Rockefeller and come in for an earlier stop than Mike? Only time will tell. A mandatory pit stop for all the drivers, of course, at some point in the race. I was talking to the Hankook engineers before the start of the race with regards to tyre degradation. Front left hand is the tyre that's going to suffer the most, particularly in the higher track temperatures that we have here at Brands Hatch today. And Joel Eriksson is the only driver, of course, that has been into the pit lane. And he is plumb last currently. Now, Nico Muller has taken another couple of tenths out of the time of René Rast. It's now down to 1.2 seconds between P1 and P2. So Nico Muller is on a charge here. They're both Audi drivers, of course, and they're both vying for the championship. And in conversation with Nico earlier today, I likened his approach to racing as a very quiet, calm, cool, but absolutely determined and getting on with his job and just quietly amassing points. There is Bruno Spengler, who has also stopped. So there the team go to work on the Bruno Spengler car. He's chosen an early stop, and from this angle it doesn't look like it was a particularly quick stop. So he stopped on lap 5. Joel Eriksson, of course, stopping on lap 2. Whatever Philipp Eng could take to Mike Rockenfeller has gone away now. And we're on board with Marco Wittmann, who's just beginning to come under some pressure from Jonathan Aberdeen. So Jonathan Aberdeen right behind him in P9 at the moment. You can see that Aberdeen has got a bit closer to Marco Wittmann. Wittmann running in P8. Making up some 4 positions right at the start of the race, and whilst he will be in the points for P8, it's nothing like the amount of points that he needs to continue his chase to René Rast and also Nico Muller in the Drivers' Championship. So we're on board with the BMW driver who won the race yesterday. There is Nico Muller continuing to chase René Rast, and in fairness has pulled the gap down to just a second now. Last lap from Nico Muller, a 1:19.260. The last lap from René Rast, a 1:19.475. On to clearways then. And they round clearways and head towards the start-finish straight. It was 1 second, the gap between Rast and Muller last time around. This time, it stays the same. Jamie Green then taking his pit stop penalty of 5 seconds. He is released from the penalty box.
On exit, we're fighting with Spengler for position.
So choosing to box Jamie early, relatively, and the team go to work on that car. Be extremely frustrating that he had to wait 5 seconds in that penalty box, but a good stop.
35 laps to go.
From the team, 7.1 seconds.
The penalty was longer than 5 seconds.
And Jamie saying that it was longer than 5 seconds that he sat there. And out he goes, and he's going to be fighting with Bruno Spengler now. Bruno should be able to get past Jamie Green with no problem at all, because Jamie is on cold tyres and Bruno's tyres are completely up to temperature. So Jamie will try and make the Audi as wide as possible, but it's going to be defenceless almost to Bruno Spengler going right round the outside of him at Druids, as you can see. And Jamie will now do everything he can to be quite aggressive in terms of generating temperature into those tyres. No tyre warmers allowed in DTM, and therefore you go out on cold tyres. They've not been pre-warmed, and Bruno Spengler had the advantage, of course, of having stopped on lap 5, 2 laps earlier than Jamie Green, so his tyres completely up to temperature. You can see how Mike Rockenfeller has now really dropped Philipp Eng and Marco Wittmann. To be fair, Marco Wittmann has also dropped Jonathan Aberdeen, but the man that's leading the race is René Rast, who has just taken another 10th, actually, to add to his comfort margin between himself and Nico Muller, because it's 1.1 seconds. There's a further 1.6 seconds back to Loic Duval, who's running in P3. So René Rast at the moment appears to have absolutely everything under control, and it's perhaps going to be strategic now as to when Rast comes in and when Muller comes in. Now, René Rast, of course, in the number 33 car, driving for the Audi Sport Team Rosberg, whereas Nico Muller drives for the Abt Sportsline team. On board with Marco Wittmann, the 2-time DTM champion for RMG BMW team, who is currently running in that P7 position, chasing Philipp Eng. There he is. Philipp Eng is running in P7. Philipp Eng is P6. Marco Wittmann, P7. Then it's Jonathan Aberdeen in P8. Race leader once again, 1.1 second last time, stays exactly the same. So Rast and Muller, virtually identical lap times, as in comes Marco Wittmann.
Pit stop light, brake balance to the rear and stay on the brakes. You will come out close before Spengler and Green, so fighting with them in the pit exit.
So the team choosing to go for a strategy of probably an earlier stop than they were planning to try and get Marco up the order.
Go, clean. Racing pit exit, Spengler and Green. Watch the white line.
8.3 second stop. We await clear ways to see who comes out of that bend, but it is going to be Spengler and Jamie Green. So Marco Wittmann has got something of a head on them in terms of trying to generate some temperature into those Hankook tyres before Spengler gets near. There is Spengler on his way up to Druids now. Marco Wittmann on his way through, tippy-toeing through Druids as he tries to hold on to that car on cold tyres. Now through the Prix Hill Bend, he holds on to it, runs just a little bit wide, the back end steps out. That plays into the hands of Bruno Spengler, who will get just a little bit closer. And then the long stretch now as they take turn number 4 and head up towards Hawthorne Hill, which is where Marco Wittmann is right now. Down the drop before the climb of Hawthorne Hill into the Hawthorne Bend, the right-hander. We're on board with Marco Wittmann. Derek Milner straight now is where he is. Heading up to turn number 6, the Westfield Bend. This is our race leader, René Rast. It's down to 9/10 now between Rast and Muller. So Muller has pulled some time back from René Rast now. When and if are we going to see a challenge here? My belief is that they will probably bring Nico in earlier than René to try and undercut him in the pit lane. We will see. There are minds far greater than mine working on the strategies. But Nico Muller certainly much closer to René Rast than he has been over the last 2 or 3 laps. But I just get the impression that René is controlling the gap really rather well and seems to have everything under control. So there was Danny Juncadella. So Danny Juncadella and the Aston Martin going through. Oh, in comes René Rast. And Muller at the same time.
Okay, we are boxing with Müller, covering Wittmann. He boxed a lap earlier. Pace was good, Wittmann couldn't follow.
So both Audi Sport Team Rosberg and AB Sportsline in at the same time. It's the battle of the pit lane here. Rast is released. There's a problem.
Slow stop Müller.
Problem for Nico Muller.
31 laps to go. 31 laps to go. Everybody has 11 or 12 laps DRS left.
That was not what Nico wanted. Also coming in, Jonathan Aberdeen. So Rast is out. Here comes Nico Muller now. And there is the BMW of Marco Wittmann. Now, Marco Wittmann should be able to reel in Nico Muller because Marco Wittmann's tyres are up to temperature. So this will be a chase on and a strategic chase in terms of points. Because Nico Muller P2 in the points, Marco Wittmann P3. René is up the road, warming his tyres up nicely, untroubled by Nico Muller. But he is well within the target sights of Marco Wittmann. Marco Wittmann stopped on lap 9. Nico Muller stopped on lap 11. So through turn 4 they go. By now, Nico will have tried to generate sufficient temperature into his tyres to be able to defend from Marco Wittmann. Mike Rockefeller's just pulled into the pit lane as well, I can tell from our screen. I think Muller has probably done enough here. And unfortunately, Marco was not able to pounce.
Careful.
Mike Rockefeller, was that an unsafe release into the path of Timo Glock? From this angle, difficult to tell. It's a question of whether Timo Glock had to yield to avoid making contact with Mike Rockefeller as he left the pit lane. So there is Muller, there is Wittmann. So our race leader now is Loic Duval, but that's because Loic Duval has not stopped. Timo Glock really under pressure from Pietro Fittipaldi. And Fittipaldi and Aberdeen side by side. Aberdeen to the inside as we look at the picture. Goes through on Pietro Fittipaldi, and he chases down Timo Glock now. So the top 8 cars are the ones that have not yet been in for their mandatory stop. They are Duval, Freins, Eng, Junkadea, Van der Linde, De Resta, Dennis and Habsburg. Race leader, in real terms, is René Rast. And taking big advantage from the pit stops. Potentially Mike Rockenfeller, who is, as you can see, ahead of Marco Wittmann. Robin Freins comes in now. There is Danny Junkadea. So Mike Rockenfeller and Marco Wittmann. Rocky stopped on P on lap 12, Wittmann on lap 9. So Mike Rockenfeller rejoining and doing a good job of keeping that car ahead of Marco Wittmann. Nico Muller going through on the inside of Robin Freins as Robin Freins returns from his mandatory stop. On board with Marco Wittmann now. Down through the gearbox, left-hander now, turn number 4. Climbs uphill. And that's a great high shot then, as Robin Freins and Mike Rockenfeller, Marco Wittmann argue over those places. Race leader now is Philipp Eng, because Loic Duval has come into the pit lane. And sure enough, there is Loic Duval.
Okay, and it will be tied with Nico, Robin, Rocky and Wittmann at pit exit.
6.7 second stop for Loic Duval. And it's going to be tight as he rejoins the track. As his engineer has said, here comes René Rast. Loic Duval on cold tyres now. Nico Muller is going to be right on him. And on the way up to Druids here, Nico Muller will dive to the inside potentially. No, Loic closes the door. So as they head towards Graham Hill Bend, then Nico Muller to the inside. Loic will shut the door now on Robin Freins. Will Robin Freins be able to get him through just off the back of turn 4? Let's see it from this high shot here. You can see Loic Duval in the red Audi, Robin Freins in the blue one. Robin Freins tyres up to temperature. Loic Duval still trying to generate the temperature into those tyres. And sure enough, Robin Freins is able to go through on Loic Duval relatively easily. Then it is Mike Rockenfeller and the car of Marco Wittmann. So still to stop, Eng, Van der Linde, De Resta, Dennis, Habsburg. 5 drivers have chosen not to stop yet. We've got 35 minutes left of the race, plus 1 lap, as near as makes no difference. And we're on board with Marco Wittmann. René Rast goes underneath the bridge, and there's significant margin between René Rast and Nico Muller currently. Muller's time in the pits was longer than that of René Rast, and that played right into the advantage of René Rast. So start-finish straight. And down Paddock Hill Bend, the cars go up towards Druids. There is Loic Duval, Rocky, and Marco Wittmann, who we go on board with now. Mike Rockenfeller just showing his face to the inside there of Loic Duval. Nothing like close enough to be able to go past. Wasn't even close, to be honest with you, but taking a completely different line. Gap between Rocky and Marco Wittmann, as you can see, just reinforcing the pace that the Audis have, and that was shown in qualifying, and that's being replicated in the race. There's Philipp Eng, who leads the race because he hasn't stopped yet. Now the gap from Eng to Rast is some 15.7 seconds. And his last lap, a 1:22.07. Let's compare that to René Rast's last lap, which I suspect is in the 119s, 1:19.381. So, still reasonable pace from Philipp Eng. And the team there for Philipp Eng. The RMR team, the amalgamation of RBM and RMG, deciding to keep Philipp Eng out for longer. Same too for Sheldon van der Linde. There you can see the gap over lap 14, 15 and 16 between Philipp Eng and René Rast. And Bart Mampay on the pit wall there, discussing the strategy. Underneath the bridge comes Philipp Eng. He's got some 5.8 seconds on Sheldon van der Linde, who, of course, another BMW driver. Then it's Paul di Resta, who's third at the moment in the R Motorsport Aston Martin, ahead of Jake Dennis and Ferdinand Habsburg. Those, the only cars that have not yet stopped. Okay, let's do some lap time comparisons here. 120.150 for Philipp Eng, compared to this man, a 119.855. So to be fair, the tyre durability for Philipp Eng is looking reasonable as Arno Zenzen looks on. And René Rast crosses the timing line once again, this time with a 119.982. Nico Müller, 119.635, but quicker than both of them. Robin Freins and Loic Duval. Now this is where it went horribly wrong for Nico Müller. They were a long time in the pits with Nico Müller. And that was the problem at the rear. You can see the other side. They had to re-jack the car, and you can see how cross the team are. You win and you lose together as a team. And that really hurt Nico Müller. And there he is. So the gap is coming down, but Nico Müller having to work really, really hard. Running in P7 at the moment, but is effectively P2. When you consider those drivers that have got to take pit stops, it's Rast, Müller, Freins, then it's Loic Duval, Mike Rockenfeller, and then Marco Wittmann, Danny Juncker, Bruno Spengler, Jonathan Aberdeen, Jamie Green, Timo Glock, Pietro Fittipaldi, Joel Eriksson. So Loic Duval rounding clearways then and heading towards the start-finish line. On track, P9, real terms, P4 for Loic Duval. Philipp Eng still lapping in the 120.1s. So relative to the pace of those who have stopped, he's doing a very good job indeed. When will they decide to bring Philipp Eng in? What have we got? Just under 30 minutes plus a lap remaining in the race. Thomas Biermeier there, the team principal of Audi Sport at Sportsline. Of course, the team responsible for Nico Müller. They'll be disappointed with that pit stop. They rehearse and they practice and rehearse and practice, and you know, just sometimes it goes wrong, and it did. Just when Nico perhaps needed it most, which was this time. Under the bridge goes René Rast. And there is Nico Müller. Now, Müller will have the advantage now of being able to see René Rast ahead of him. And will be chasing him. But, just when the AB Sportsline team needed to deliver the sharpest pit stop ever, that's potentially what hurt Nico Müller. So he's having to work really, really hard now to try and get on terms with René Rast. Also having to work really hard, of course, is Marco Wittmann, who the weather conditions and the lower track temperature conditions yesterday really played into the hands of the BMW cars, but we are seeing a real Audi fest at the moment. But if you look at the lap times of Philipp Eng, 120.1, compare that to the 119.879 of René Rast, as Ernst Moser there looks at all the data available. I think Philipp Eng is the durability and the way that he has nursed those tyres. He's doing very well indeed. In comes Paul di Resta. No, he doesn't. We thought they were getting ready for Paul di Resta, but he stays out. Paul di Resta at the moment is P3, but of course...
Jake, remember, pit stop light, reset brake balance.
Free pit stop. So Jake Dennis then, who was such a star in qualifying yesterday. Oh no, this has not gone quickly for Jake Dennis. The left-hand rear was slow.
Okay, you're going in free air, Paul is pitting in 4 laps. Paul is pitting in 4 laps on the schedule.
So we know that Paul is coming in then in 4 laps time. 9.9 second stop for Jake Dennis. That's hurt him. That's a great shame. But this man is doing a really good job. Philipp Eng for BMW. His last lap, a 120.197. Comparing that to René Rast's last lap, a 120.470. Now, Philipp Eng has not stopped yet. So Philipp Eng then, on significantly older tyres than René Rast, is doing a very good job. So too Sheldon van der Linde. So Philipp Eng is the leader of the race. Now, of course, he does have to stop, but when you consider the pit stop time, there you can see the gap, look, between Philipp Eng and René Rast. Oh, and that's Joel Eriksson. And that's the... that's right at the pit lane, isn't it? But it's not the pit lane out. So Joel Eriksson is out of the race. That's a great shame. He's had a torrid weekend. Gearbox problems yesterday for Joel Eriksson. And he's had to park the car today. So Joel Eriksson is out. Now, I would have thought where that car is situated, it won't necessarily mean a full course yellow or a safety car. Don't think, because it's way off the racing line. So there is Marco Wittmann. He, of course, like Nico Muller, chasing René Rast in terms of the points and the Drivers' Championship. Still a lot of racing still to come, of course. From here we go off to the Lausitzring. And then from the Lausitzring, Nürburgring. Jamie Green, Timo Glock. Timo Glock ahead of the car of Pietro Fittipaldi. So good to see Pietro Fittipaldi out in the race today. After that crash in qualifying yesterday, the WRT independent Audi team doing a great job in getting Pietro's car repaired, and worked until the early hours this morning to do so. But there you can see from our splitter cam on the back of that car, looking at Pietro Fittipaldi. What have we got? 25.5 minutes plus 1 lap. Still the clouds overhead remain harmless. And we are expecting the entire race duration to be dry. And that is an awesome shot. Absolutely brilliant from the back of the Timo Glock car. In now comes Philipp Eng.
We have a bunch of 5 cars ahead of us. Big tire mileage difference. Pit stop light, white line. Remember, brake bias and rotary to control the balance.
As we listen to the team radio, a 7-second stop for Philipp Eng. This is good. But Philipp Eng is going to be out on cold tyres. There is René Rast. Philipp Eng is going to have younger tyres. They're cold tyres. Wittmann has gone through. So Eng on his way now. But please bear in mind that Philipp Eng is going to have significantly younger tyres than those drivers ahead of him. Okay, it's going to take him a lap. Oh! As he locks them up then, that's what can happen when you're on those cold tyres. It's going to take him a lap to bring them up to temperature. But once he has brought them up to temperature, he is going to have so much life in those tyres. Oh no, that looks like a retirement for Bruno Spengler. Race winner this year at the Nürburgring, of course. Bruno Spengler sadly is out of the race as Bruno backstage garage welcomes that car in. Out comes the WRT Audi. And makes his way up towards Druids now. So there is Philipp Eng, who's gone about warming up those Hankook tyres and getting them up to temperature. And he is, well, what have we got? Di Resta has now come into the pit lane and... Oh.
I said no, Paul.
The radio didn't fucking work.
Apologies for Paul Di Resta's language on the team radio. Great apologies for that, but his radio didn't work, so obviously the team were not aware that he was coming in.
Fucking radio doesn't work.
Apologies once again for Paul Di Resta. You can understand how frustrated he is. And that has really...
Go to the front, we can reach the airlines. Yeah, copy.
That has really compromised Paul Di Resta.
Don't speak to me. I can't.
He is so cross. That is the angriest I've heard Paul Di Resta for a long time. You can see how he's thumping the car. He is furious. basically what happens is, as you come into the pit lane, and you've heard it on team radio on our program so many times, you hear pit in, as the driver just warns the team that he's coming into the pit lane. Clearly, it didn't work. Therefore, the team were not ready for him. Oh, and off goes the number 21 car. That was a big save from Pietro Fittipaldi, who, of course, will now be rolling gravel ahead of Paul di Resta as well. And Paul di Resta just nursing the car now. You can see the back end lighting up because, of course, he is on cold tyres. And we've got slow zone now as well. So let me look. The slow zone then is from Clearways through to Druids, and the cars look positively pedestrian when they're in a slow zone. The cars are automatically put into that slow zone, and you have to observe that, the cars automatically observe that slow zone. Now, Wittmann's coming in. That's going to be a two-stopper. Thomas Baltes, and there you could hear.
Brake balance to the rear, stay on the brakes, and check at the pit exit who you will racing. Difficult to predict. Pit lane is clear, so you can go out directly.
Now, you could hear there Marco Wittmann on team radio say, pit in. So they knew he was coming. Now, this could be an inspired strategy from the team, because with that slow zone...
Go. And remember the speeding in the slow zone, it's uphill. Control with the brake, watch the right line.
With that slow zone deployed, that could, they rolled the dice then very, very quickly and reacted very quickly to the slow zone, thinking, right, this could give us the advantage that we need. So the order is Rast, Muller, Freins, Duval, Rockenfeller, Eng. Still think Eng could be a danger man come the end of the race as well. But so too could Marco Wittmann now, who's going to have younger tyres than anybody else. In then Pietro Fittipaldi, following his little excursion into the gravel. We've lost Joel Eriksson and we've lost Bruno Spengler, of course. And in replay, ooh, that was a big save. To be fair, he held onto that car very well. So, retirement, we know of Bruno Spengler, the BMW Bank driver, is out of this race. Thankfully, we've caught up with him. Let's hear what Bruno's got to say.
So let's find out what happened with Bruno Spengler. Bruno, why did you have to park the car? What happened?
Yeah, unfortunately, I had a problem, a technical issue. So I had to retire the car. Otherwise, it would have been probably dangerous to continue. So yeah, it was better to park the car and not create any trouble. So yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. We are a little bit very disappointed actually, because I think our car was much better today than yesterday during the race. We kind of concentrated more on the race today, on the setups and everything. So qualifying wasn't great, but the race pace was good. So yeah, for sure it's disappointing. And we have to now focus for the next races, because it was a tough weekend in general for all of us.
All right, well, safety comes first. Thank you very much, Bruno. Back to you.
Okay, so Bruno Spengler sadly out. Live championship, this is the way it looks if it stays this way. Rast on 206 points, Muller on 169, Wittmann on 146, Eng on 127. That's if everything stays the way it is at the moment. We've still got 20 minutes still to come. And look how Eng now is really pressuring Mike Rockenfeller. So Philip Eng then, we know he's got good pace, and he has got to find a way past the Audi of Mike Rockenfeller, though, to put himself up into P5, and that would be more points for Philip Eng, of course. Nico Muller doing the chasing on René Rast. The gap is down to a second between P1 and P2, and here comes Philip Eng on the inside of Mike Rockenfeller into Paddock Hill. Mike Rockenfeller closes the door. Philip Eng will try going up towards Druids now as he dives to the inside, but once again, the door is closed by Mike Rockenfeller. Now on the exit of Druids, Philip Eng all the way around the outside of Graham Hill. No, he'll switch to the inside now. But he is being denied by Mike Rockenfeller. So up towards turn number 4. Eng to the inside, Rocky to the outside, and now Philip Eng has got the job done. And Philip Eng moves himself up to P5. And now he's been released from that Audi of Mike Rockenfeller. You can see how Philip Eng is up the road. There is Nico Muller. The gap between Rast and Muller is coming down. 1.5 to 1.2 to 1.0. So Nico Muller on a charge here. Nico Muller, of course, doing the chasing in the championship to the man that's leading the championship. They are P1 and P2 in this race, with just under 18 minutes of the race remaining, plus 1 lap, of course. So across the timing line now, it was exactly a second last time around, and it stays the same. So Rast has responded. And this was Philip Eng's move on Mike Rockenfeller. Dive to the inside. And good respectful space left by Mike Rockenfeller. Otherwise, they'd have clattered together. Another driver that we've lost is Joel Eriksson. He's with Verena.
Bad luck for Joel Eriksson as well. Joel, talk us through, why did you have to stop the race?
Yeah, in the beginning, I had a contact with Fittipaldi on the first lap. So I had a puncture and then we boxed, and then yeah, I was running without any problems, but then everything else died on the car. So yeah, I guess it's a technical issue. So yeah, a bit unlucky, but yeah, it's racing.
Very unlucky. Thank you very much, Joel. Back to you.
That's a great shame. Joel Eriksson really has had a torrid weekend. A great shame. Come back fighting next time out at the Lausitz ring. Fighting hard is Philip Eng. Next in his target sights is Loic Duval. So what have we got? 16.5 minutes plus a lap remaining. Philip needs to be getting on with this, doesn't he? So he's got to get by Loic Duval as quickly as he possibly can. So out of clearways, here's the race leader, René Rast. There's P2, Nico Muller. Then it's Robin Freins and Loic Duval and Philip Eng. So Eng then, around Paddock Hill now, will try, I suggest, to get to the inside of Loic Duval. I don't think he was close enough, but he certainly was having a go. Will he be able to do the same as he did on Mike Rockenfeller going into turn number 4? Well, let's see. Is he close enough? Yes, he dives to the inside of Loic Duval. And there's no racing room left by Loic Duval on this occasion. Where Mike Rockenfeller left racing room, Loic Duval closed the door. There was a little touch between the two of them. But Loic Duval certainly shut the door. And Philip Eng was not able to get by. And that's another valuable overtaking opportunity that perhaps he's missed, as Marco Wittmann now tries to overtake Jamie Green. This is for P11, so bear in mind Marco Wittmann out of the points at the moment. On board with Jamie Green as he sees the Marco Wittmann BMW disappear ahead of him. So Rast now, his lead over Nico Muller is down to 9/10. Final quarter of an hour of the race, plus a lap. There is Green. Green currently running in that P12 position, with Marco Wittmann having got by him. So Philip Eng now will have another go at Loic Duval. What can he do here? Philip Eng in the blue BMW, Loic Duval in the red and grey Audi. So Philip Eng tried to put it to the inside here at turn number 4 last time around. He's not even going to try that this time because Loic Duval closed the door. So now on pace alone. But of course, both drivers have got DRS available to them. Look at Loic Duval. He puts the car to the middle of the road, then dives to the inside, then to the outside again. Really heavy defending from Loic Duval on Philip Eng. And you can almost imagine and feel the frustration Philip Eng must be feeling. He knows he's got the pace, but he's got to find a way by. The gap between P1 and P2 is down to 8/10 now. Philip Eng is probably the quickest car out there, but he's unable to show that pace because he's held up by Loic Duval. But in fairness, Loic is defending position and he's entitled to do that. So around Paddock Hill they come. There's Robin Freins, who's in the final podium place at the moment, P3. Then it's Loic Duval, who's just escaped the clutches of Philip Eng for a few meters of tarmac before Eng decides to have another go. So where's Eng going to pitch the BMW now against the Audi? So to turn 4 then, as they go up towards the GP loop of this Brands Hatch track. Eng not as close this time to Loic Duval as he was on the previous lap. So this will be another lap that Philipp Eng has not been able to get by the car of Loic Duval. Now this was his original overtake attempt. Put the car to the inside, and there was a touch between himself and Loic Duval. Loic was closing the door. Philipp was going for the gap that was ever decreasing. So the cars scream underneath the bridge on their way out of Stirling's towards Clear Ways now. And for yet another lap, Philipp Eng is going to have to try and reel in that Loic Duval Audi that's in that P4 position. So they run down Paddock Hill then. He's not as close as he has been, but now he takes a look at the inside. And look, he's all over the back of Loic Duval. Wherever he puts that BMW, Loic Duval is defending the line. So he now goes to the outside to try and get underneath now as they turn in through turn number 4. And this means that Philipp Eng might get a run on him now. It has taken him a few laps to be able to get to this point. They are absolutely side by side, both using DRS, and Philipp Eng is denied again. All over the back of the Audi, the BMW driver, Philipp Eng, trying to find a way by. And wherever he has put the car, Loic has had the answer to it. Oh, and just gets onto the loose stuff just for a moment. He's clearly very frustrated now. Is he going to be able to have a go going into Paddock Hill? He's closer to Loic Duval than he was in the last lap. So Duval puts the car in the center of the track, approaching Paddock Hill. You drop off that cliff of Paddock Hill and go down, up towards Druids. And Philipp, who in but a few moments' time is going to feel the pressure of Mike Rockenfeller behind him. He has tried so hard to find a way past Loic Duval and has been denied. This has been fascinating to watch. Great defensive driving by Loic Duval and, well, truly aggressive from Philipp Eng in terms of trying to find a place to put that car and to overtake Loic Duval, but just has not been able to do so. And the final 10 minutes plus a lap of this race left to run. Rast, the gap between René Rast and Nico Müller is now down to 7/10. As in comes Jamie Green for a 2-stopper. So in the final 10 minutes plus 1 lap, Jamie Green is going to have fresher rubber than anybody. But of course, it's going to take him a lap to get the tyres up to temperature. Now, Nico Müller is within 6/10 of René Rast. They're P1 and P2 on the road. They're P1 and P2 in the Drivers' Championship. Now, of course, René will want to win the race, but he knows that to risk everything to win the race, it's points haul that's important for René. As again, Eng and Duval both using and deploying their DRS and the positions remaining unaltered. There's Rast, there's Müller. Robin Freins is almost 2 seconds behind them in P3. There's Robin Freins, there's Loic Duval and Philipp Eng. The battle we've been watching for lap after lap after lap, and Philipp Eng is still denied by Loic Duval. Mike Rockenfeller has not got onto the back of Philipp Eng quite as quickly as I thought he would. Over the line now, 5/10 between P1 and P2. Philippe Eng is really going to have to pull something out of the bag here to get past Loic Duval, and I just feel that when he does, he'll be able to get onto the back of Robin Freins, but that opportunity has not been gifted to him yet. So what is Rene going to do here? He's got to defend from Nico Müller, who is quicker. Nico has really brought the gap down to René Rast. It's P1 and P2. And as I mentioned, it's P1 and P2 on the road and P1 and P2 in terms of Drivers' Championship points as well. Now, the more these two fight together, of course, it will play into the hands of Robin Freins, who might be able to get a bit closer to them. And he's not involved in the championship chase at the moment, and nonetheless would like the honour of the race win here. He's P3 at the moment, Loic Duval is P4, and the very frustrated Philippe Eng is P5 in the best of the BMWs. Incidentally, the best of the R Motorsport Aston Martins is Danny Junqueira running in P9, two of them in the points, Danny Junqueira and Jake Dennis. Ferdinand Habsburg is P12, Paul di Resta following that disastrous pit stop is P14. Three tenths now between P1 and P2. It's all heading towards a very exciting end of the race here. DTM Race 2 this weekend. We're live from Brands Hatch. And René Rast is leading the race from Nico Müller, who's P2. Robin Freins is P3. Then ding-dong battle going on by Loic Duval and Philippe Eng for P4 and 5. Then it's Rocky, Mike Rockefeller, then Jonathan Aberdeen, Sheldon van der Linde, Danny Junqueira and Jake Dennis. That's the top 10, as you can see on the left-hand side of the screen. We've lost Bruno Spengler and Joel Eriksson. And I really rather think now that Philippe Eng is resigned to the fact that he's not going to be able to find a way past Loic Duval, who actually in turn is reeling in Robin Freins a bit now. The gap is under a second between himself and Robin Freins. And just for now, René Rast appears to have the measure of Nico Müller, because the gap has increased now between P1 and P2. There, the fight that's going on for P4. Philippe Eng taking a completely different line on the start-finish straight to that of Loic Duval. All of it thus far has been futile. We're on board with Marco Wittmann, who is out of the points. He can see, though, the Jake Dennis R Motorsport Aston Martin ahead of him. And that would get him just into the points, because Jake Dennis is running in P10. Jake's not an easy guy to overtake, though, that's for sure. So now, DRS and push to pass becomes unrestricted for the final 5 minutes of the race, plus 1 lap. What's Wittmann got left here? 4 DRS and 4 pushes to pass then. In fairness, Jake has got plenty of both. Rast has got 12 DRS, 12 pushes to pass, Müller 11 and 10, so here comes our race leader, Robin Freins. Then there's Loic Duval and Philippe Eng, which is perhaps the closest battle at the moment, because René Rast is increasing his margin now over Nico Müller. So Nico got within to 3/4 tenths, but now it's up to 1.2. The gap between Loic Duval and Philippe Eng, though, is just 3 tenths, and it's smaller than that now, as Philippe Eng around Druid tries to find yet another opportunity to get by Loic Duval, but so far he really has been denied, and wherever he's placed the BMW, he's been denied by Loic Duval ahead of him. They're all coming a bit closer to Robin Freins, though. So 3.5 minutes, and we've got a yellow flag in turn number 4. And that's the reason why. Jonathan Aberdeen, he gets the car pointing back in the right direction again, and providing he can get it going, indeed he does, we go back to green through that turn 4. Well, just I don't know whether there was a touch there from Sheldon van der Linde or not. I'm not prepared to call that. It looked like he was actually on the outside and just lost grip. I don't think Sheldon touched him. So, back on board with René Rast then. 1.2 seconds to the good over Nico Müller, with 2 3/4 minutes plus a lap remaining. So, what can Nico do? What can Nico find here to try and find his way past René Rast? Philipp Eng could be under pressure, you know, in the final stages of this race from Mike Rockenfeller, who's currently running in P6. So there is Nico Müller. Now, Nico Müller's tyres, I mean, he's been chasing and chasing and chasing René. He's probably taken more out of those Hankooks than René has. René has been super smooth and, of course, has had a clean track ahead of him. And that has probably played into the advantage of René to see off the challenge from Nico Müller. And as I mentioned, Philipp Eng dropping away now from Loic Duval and perhaps dropping into the clutches of Mike Rockenfeller. So Rocky is currently P6. The margin between Philipp Eng and Mike Rockenfeller last time around was 6/10. Looks less than that to me now. And therefore Philipp Eng may have to go from attacking to defending as Bart Mampay from BMW Team RMR looks on and looks at all the data as well. P1 here, René Rast, championship leader. P2, Nico Müller. P3, Robin Freins. Then it's Loic Duval, Philipp Eng, and Mike Rockenfeller. And Mike Rockenfeller getting ever closer to Philipp Eng. So as we watch the cars now turn onto the Grand Prix part of this Brands Hatch circuit, climb uphill and head up towards Hawthorne. There is Robin Freins. Race leader René Rast, 1.1 seconds to the good over Nico Müller. I think from René's perspective, just being more careful and more cautious, perhaps with the Hankook tyres, has paid dividends for him as they make the run down to Clearways now, go under the bridge and rejoin what is the Indy circuit here at Brands Hatch. They're going to cross the timing line with about 10 seconds left on the board. But of course, it's always plus 1 lap in DTM, as Nico Müller now, in the last throws of this race, gets a bit closer to René and brings the gap down to 6/10. But I think René has got this under control. So there you can see the live gap, 6.5 tenths between P1 and P2. Then it's Robin Freins, Loic Duval, Philipp Eng. To round out the top 10 for you, it's Mike Rockenfeller P6, Sheldon van der Linde is P7, then it's Danny Junkadea, Jake Dennis and Marco Wittmann into that P10 position. So into the points, but only just, and nothing like the points haul that Marco Wittmann would have liked to have taken away from race 2 here at Brands Hatch. So René Rast now heads down off the back of Stirling's Bend onto Clearways and crosses the timing line now for one more lap of this race. So Nico Müller now, it's now or never. On the ABD Sportsline pit wall there. Nico closes on René. The last thing these two need is to fight and take each other out of the race. That would be utterly disastrous. But they are professional racing drivers, and whilst of course Nico Müller wants to win the race, so too does René Rast, and René knows that, you know, he's cementing his position in the points championship as Rast and Müller, for the last time of asking, head up Hawthorne Hill towards Hawthorne Bend. the right-hander, which leads to the Derek Milner straight, which is where the cars are now. Before turning right through Westfield Bend, the long sweeper, then downhill into Dingle Dell. Then the Sheen curve before Stirling's Bend. And then the run to Clearways. Well, whatever Nico has been able to throw at the René Rast car, I really rather feel it's been not enough, because René has appeared to control this beautifully. And it's going to be 3 Audis virtually welded together as they cross the timing line then to take the 1, 2, 3. René Rast wins from Nico Müller and Robin Freins. Then it's Lloyd
Nico,
Duval.
ALS off, save fuel and collect pickup. Good job today. The pit stop cost us quite some time.
There's no question, as we listen to the engineer there of Nico Müller. I am convinced.
Yeah, copy. Anyway, good job, boys. 2 important points. Thank you for that.
I am convinced it could have been a different result had that pit stop not gone so wrong for Nico Müller.
Anyway, it's good for Audi.
So, René Rast takes the win from Nico Müller, and Robin Freins takes P3. Trying to listen into the conversation there with Arno Zenzen. There is Philip Eng, who takes P5. But René Rast is, well, proving just what a talented driver he is. He wins the race here. And cements his position still more at the top of the Drivers' Championship. And of course, we'll be heading to the next round at the Lausitz-Ring in just a couple of weeks' time. And a super slow-mo of René Rast then heading towards the checkered flag. Well, those 3 Audis together as they took the checkered flag then, really, really close. And there the checkered flag falls for René Rast, for him to secure yet another win and more valuable points to extend his lead in the Drivers' Championship. So we're on board with René Rast then as he makes his way into Parc Fermé. Nico Müller is already there. Robin Freins is on his way out of the car. Cool as a cucumber, there is René Rast. So Rast exits the car, will go off to be weighed, and he will go away from his UK visit feeling that he has very nearly extracted the maximum. Well, the team have delivered a great car for him, and indeed Audi, we saw in qualifying, were extremely dominant, and the best of the BMWs, Philip Eng managing to achieve P5. The best of the R Motorsport Aston Martins, Danny Unkadea taking P8. So René and Nico in conversation there. René is just so cool. And Nothing phases him, that's for sure. Just a gentle smile along with the P1 board. Another win for René. P2, Nico Müller. P3, Robin Freins. Congratulations afforded by many. And here, confirmation of the result then. René Rast taking the win from Nico Müller and Robin Freins, P2 and P3. Then it was Loic Duval and Philipp Eng taking P4 and P5, ahead of Mike Rockenfeller, Sheldon van der Linde, Daniel Juncker-Deyer, Jake Dennis and Marco Wittmann completing the top 10, ahead of Ferdinand von Habsburg, Timo Glock, Jonathan Aberdeen, Paul de Resta, Jamie Green, Pietro Fittipaldi, and of course we saw retirements from Bruno Spengler and Joel Eriksson, classified P17 and P18. So the drivers hustled together then for the P1, 2 and 3 photo. René Rast in the middle of the picture, Nico Müller to the left-hand side and Robin Freins to the right-hand side. An all-Audi podium that we are going to see here at Brands Hatch. So the drivers being hustled off towards the podium, and in the Drivers' Championship now, 206 points for René Rast, 169 for Nico Müller. Marco Wittmann, this was hard work for him today. He finished P10, so just in the points, but as you can see, is on 147, and Philipp Eng on 129. Still a lot of racing to come, though. 6 more races before the end of the season. With points, of course, for the races, but not only that, for qualifying as well. As I mentioned to you, René Rast from qualifying has amassed nearly the same amount of points cumulatively from his qualifying efforts this year as he would for yet another race won. Nico Müller, try as he might to get P1. He's had to settle for P2. He's with Verena.
So here I am with Nico Müller. Fantastic job you did from P6 to P2, and also you're extending your lead. You're behind René in the championship. But quite frankly, if the pit stop would have gone a bit better, do you think that actually cost you the victory?
I think partly, yeah. I mean, I probably still would have had to overtake him on track, but I think we have better pace today. So I don't know, 5-6 seconds that we lost at the stop, you know, I had to stress my tires quite hard to close the gap, and I think that was what probably, you know, was missing in the end. I think we would have had a go, and would have been nice to you know, to see a battle out there, but yeah, in the end, you know, it comes up to the same topic that I keep on mentioning, and we haven't managed this weekend to improve our qualifying. That is what we need to work on, and if we know, you know, if we start in the first row, I think then we can really fight for wins, and if we want to, you know, challenge René in the championship, we need those wins, and yeah, we'll work on that.
Thank you so much, Nico. Back to you.
So, as Nico says, then, quali work has got to be done before they head to the Lausitzring for the next one. But, as is always the case with Nico, he is very subjective and objective as well, actually, because he knows what's got to be done, and whilst he says that the pit stop didn't help him, he would have still had to probably overtake René on track, which would have been probably no easy feat, but he would have certainly had a go and would have enjoyed putting the battle on. Well, the spectators were treated to a extraordinary race in many regards. Some drivers 2 stopping, some 1 stopping. And thankfully, the weather stayed fine for the race. And there, Loic Duval and Robin Freins. Loic Duval certainly saw off the challenge from Philipp Eng. So the drivers heading off up towards the podium now. Always interesting to listen in on the conversation that they're having. Super trophies here at Brands Hatch this weekend as well from DTM.
DTM Championship. First of all, we will get out our race winner onto the podium, please. Congratulations to René Rast with his 4th win of the season. So René makes his way on.
So René then onto the top step of the podium.
Finishing in 2nd position with his 7th podium.
P2, Nico Muller.
Congratulations to Nico Muller.
And P3, of course, for Robin Freins.
The driver that finished in 3rd position, making it an Audi lockout on the podium. It's Robin Freins with his 3rd podium of the 2019 championship season. 3 drivers on the podium. We now get our team representative, and that is representing Audi Sport Team Rosberg, Johannes Bruckbach onto the podium.
Johannes is onto the podium then.
On what was a fantastic 2nd race here at Brands Hatch for round 12 of the 2000.
So time for the national anthem to play out for René Rast.
The winning driver. So congratulations to René Rast, our first trophy.
So the anthem plays out then. And John Watson here to make a trophy presentation. 5-time F1 race winner. John Watson then making the trophy presentation to René Rast. Doubtless offering some words of experience as well to René. Top driver, John Watson.
The trophy to the winning constructor. It is going to be Sean Wadsworth, who is the chairman of the W Series.
Sean from the W Series, Sean Wadsworth, the chairman of the W Series, making the trophy presentation to the Audi team. David Coulthard then will make the trophy presentation to Nico Muller. David Coulthard, of course, demoing a Red Bull Formula One car here this weekend. Good chat with him yesterday. So a fan experience winner here, Elizabeth Sturm, making the trophy presentation to Robin Freins. A great opportunity for fans of the DTM to get that extraordinary opportunity to present a trophy on the podium. So the drivers all there then. Time for the carbon champagne. As our trophy presenters make haste their escape so as not to join in the champagne celebrations from René Rast, Nico Muller and Robin Freins. So the celebrations on the podium then. And DTM here at Brands Hatch, done and dusted for 2019. And as always, good number of people below the podium to enjoy the podium celebrations. And the champagne being enjoyed by a big number of the team as well, deservedly so. Awesome pace from Audi today in DTM. Nico Muller there making sure that The hair is dried off from the champagne that coated it. So up next, we head off to the Lausitzring, as I say, in just a couple of weeks' time for the next round of DTM. And it's looking good for this man, René Rast, then, who headed once again to the top step of the podium. It's not been all about wins for René Rast so far this year. It's been about amassing points. And he's done a very, very good job at that. So, René is the winner and really extends his championship lead. He is with Verena now.
So here he is, the championship leader, 37 points ahead of Nico. Congratulations from pole to victory. So, I mean, it can't continue like this, let me guess.
Yeah, for sure. For us, it's positive. For the DTM championship, I hope there will be a bit more, tension in the end. But for me, it's obviously very positive. I mean, we had a great day. Pole position, I think pole position was the key to the success today because the pace in the race was not outstanding. It was okay, but not outstanding. So for sure, the pole position was very important. And now 37 points ahead is obviously, very positive.
Nico Müller still had 10 push-to passes in the end. So, I mean, he didn't really attack as much. I don't know if he didn't have the pace, but do you think we're still going to see a battle between the two of you, or is this also something that has to do with respect?
I hope so. I mean, in the end, we want to see battles, and for sure.
Sure, you want to see one?
Leading a race is nice, but in the end, I'm also a racing driver. I want to race door to door like we did last year with Gary in the end. So that was, outstanding, and it was very cool for me as well. So obviously, we hope that we can, have some more racing in some other circuits.
But you certainly showed the best of racing. Thank you so much, René, and enjoy the moment. And back to the commentator.
Well, René certainly is one of those that likes to battle hard, and he enjoys his racing, and I'm sure he's telling the truth. He wants to be challenged, and challenged all the way to the final race, and we're sure that's going to happen in DTM. Nico Müller's certainly going to have a good go, that's for sure. So, Robin Freins then on the podium. He takes P3. Let's hear from him.
So here's the third Audi on the podium, third place for Robin Freins. Congratulations, but you seem so cool. Are you enjoying the moment?
Yeah, I mean, just, it's been a tough season for me, as pretty much 50% of the season so far. I had technical issues with the car, so also yesterday. And today the car was really good. Really happy with the balance, happy with the race. Obviously, I felt quite strong, but I mean, it's very hard to overtake and very hard to get close to people in front. So you can easily destroy the tires behind someone. So for me, it was just bring the car home in P3 and hopefully better chance next time.
But being on the podium is always a good feeling, even in third place.
Even in third place, yeah, I'm happy, even though maybe I don't show it, but...
You're showing it to the inside, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I'm a very relaxed guy, so maybe if I'm home, I'm more happy, I don't know.
But thank you for that smile, I love it. All right, so now back to the commentator.
Verena, you deserve a house point for that. You got Robin Freins to smile. Listen, we're going to be racing with DTM in just a couple of weeks' time at the Lausitzring. That's the next round of DTM, so looking forward to that. Let's go back down towards the podium and the pit lane with Verena again.
So this really was a phenomenal race weekend in Brands Hatch, and in 2 weeks' time we are at the Lausitzring in Germany, and I'm looking forward to that as well. So you do not want to miss it. It's going to get really exciting, and now here are the highlights of the day, and that's exciting too. So see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.